She used to text you first, call you non-stop, couldn't get enough of you. But now she barely replies, acts cold, pulls away like you never mattered. You didn't get boring, you got predictable. And the moment she knew she had you, she stopped chasing. What if I told you? The key to controlling how deeply she wants you has nothing to do with love, charm, or looks, but everything to do with emotional power she can feel but never control. Today, I'm breaking down 5 hacks to control any woman and flip the script completely, making her the one who overthinks, chases, and fears losing you. Comment, I choose strength if you're ready to reclaim your power. Number 1. Make her fear losing you. You spend weeks, months, maybe even years doing everything to make her feel secure. Buying her gifts, texting her good morning every day, validating her every emotion, showing up even when you're drained, putting her above your priorities, letting things slide when she disrespects you, thinking that love means endurance. But what you're really doing is showing her that no matter how she treats you, you'll stay. And the moment she knows that you're not willing to walk away, the power dynamic flips, and she starts treating your presence as something guaranteed, something that requires no effort, no respect, no gratitude. Because what's always there starts becoming invisible, and you keep wondering why the same woman who used to blow up your phone now takes hours to reply. The same one who used to cry when you didn't text back suddenly ghosts you for days. And it's not because she stopped loving you, it's because she stopped fearing the loss of you. And love without the fear of loss turns into entitlement, and entitlement kills attraction. So you sit there confused, heartbroken, spiraling through memories trying to pinpoint where it went wrong. But it didn't happen in one moment. It was the accumulation of every little time you let disrespect slide, every time you gave without being valued, every moment you rewarded her bad behavior with more love. And she learned that no matter what, you'll still be there. And that's the root of the problem, because women don't chase men. They feel they've conquered. They chase the man who stands his ground, who disappears when he's disrespected, who lets her feel the consequences of her actions without saying a word. And now it's time to flip the script, not by being cold, not by being abusive, but by being unavailable to low effort, unavailable to disrespect, unavailable to being treated like an option. Because when a man lives like he can walk away at any moment, not out of bitterness, but because he respects himself too much to stay where he's not appreciated, he changes how women see him. Suddenly your time means something, your silence means something, your energy is missed when it's gone, because you've trained her to understand that access to you is earned, not given. And it starts with your actions. Stop replying immediately. Stop being emotionally available to someone who uses your presence as leverage. Stop dropping your plans just to see her, and let her reach out. Let her feel the gap. And when she feels your absence and starts chasing your validation again, don't fall back into the same trap. Make her work to earn what she once took for granted, because a woman who fears losing you treats you differently. She watches her tone. She respects your time. She thinks before acting, because she knows you're not emotionally dependent on her approval. And this doesn't just change your relationships. It changes how you carry yourself in every area of life, because the moment you stop needing people to choose you is the moment you start choosing yourself. And that energy is magnetic. That energy is what makes you a man of value, because you've proven to yourself that you are enough even when you're alone. And from that place of strength, you become the man who leads, who sets the tone, who commands respect without demanding it. And the irony is, the more willing you are to walk away, the less people want you to. So if you're tired of being walked over, tired of over-explaining, tired of chasing, then today is the day you choose yourself. No explanations, no emotional outbursts, just silence, presence, and discipline. Because that's what makes her fear losing you. Not the threats, not the manipulation, but the calm confidence of a man who knows exactly what he brings to the table and will not sit where he's not respected. Number 2, create emotional confusion. You think being clear, honest, and emotionally available will make her love you more, but the truth is, the more predictable you are, the faster she loses interest. And every time you explain yourself, every time you wear your heart on your sleeve, hoping she'll reciprocate that vulnerability, what you're really doing is stripping away the very tension that makes attraction burn. Because women do not crave answers. They crave emotions, intensity, curiosity, unpredictability. And the moment she fully understands you, the moment she figures you out, she begins emotionally checking out. Because the part of her brain that stays addicted to a man is the part that doesn't know what's coming next. And this isn't manipulation. It's biology, and most men suffer because they believe love is about transparency, about revealing everything, about solving problems with logic. But women are emotional creatures. They are wired for the chase, for imagination, for that lingering what if that keeps her mind circling around you long after the conversation ends. And when you become too available, too safe, too emotionally explainable, you kill that emotional high she's addicted to, and you don't even realize it because you think you're doing the right thing. And this is how so many men get trapped, over-investing, over-texting, over-sharing, showing all their cards too soon, revealing their plans, their pain, their past, thinking that by exposing their heart they'll win hers. But what they're doing is making themselves emotionally boring. And no woman fantasizes about a man who lays everything bare from day one, because the most powerful fantasy is built on not knowing, on wondering, on questioning, on imagining. And when you create emotional confusion, not by playing games, but by being grounded, calm, and quietly intentional, you become the man who lives in her head, and every unanswered message, every moment you don't react the way she expects, creates space for her to feel more, to think more, to want more. Because it's not your words that keep her interested. It's the space between them, and the reason she becomes obsessed isn't because you chase her down or validate her constantly. It's because you say less and make her feel more. And this is what emotionally powerful men understand. When she expects you to explode and you remain calm. When she expects you to beg and you stay quiet. When she pushes your buttons and you simply observe, you break her patterns. And now you're not the guy she knows how to manipulate. You're the anomaly, the unpredictable variable in a sea of predictable, emotionally needy men. And the second she senses she can't read you, the second she feels off balance in your presence, she starts spiraling in the most addictive way, because now she's chasing that clarity you withhold, not out of malice, but because you're not emotionally reactive, because you value your peace more than her approval. And that's when everything changes. That's when she starts overanalyzing your tone, your texts, your silences, wondering if she messed up, wondering if you're talking to someone else, wondering what she has to do to win back your attention. And the irony is, the less you give, the more she chases, because the chase is not about getting you. It's about regaining the emotional control she feels slipping through her fingers. And this is where most men get it twisted. They think they have to do more to be seen, but in truth, the man who gives less strategically is seen more, felt more, remembered more. And you might say, but I don't want to play games. And that's exactly why you lose. Because this isn't a game, it's how attraction works. And if you're not playing it intentionally, you're being played by default. So how do you start implementing this today? Simple. Stop over-explaining your emotions. Stop trying to fix her reactions with your words. Start becoming more emotionally grounded, more unavailable to low-effort energy, more silent when pressured, because the silence you hold when she expects drama creates a mirror she has to sit with. And in that mirror, she sees herself. And in seeing herself, she begins to respect you. Not because you forced her to, but because you didn't let her emotions dictate your energy. And the way you talk to her changes too. You speak less. You say things once. You don't repeat yourself. You let her texts go unanswered for hours while you handle your business. You make her wait. You make her wonder. And not because you're trying to hurt her, but because you're building a life that doesn't revolve around her validation. And the truth is, every time you respond instantly, every time you vent your thoughts too quickly, every time you remove the mystery, you're giving away the very power that makes you emotionally attractive. And that's what makes her bored. Not your looks, not your money, but your emotional accessibility, your transparency, your lack of mystery. So ask yourself right now, do you want to be understood or remembered? Do you want to be liked or obsessed over? Because obsession isn't built on understanding. It's built on curiosity, tension, and the inability to fully grasp you. And this doesn't mean you become cold or rude. It means you become emotionally precise, intentional with your energy, surgical with your responses. And that's how you go from being just another guy to being the man who lives in her head rent-free. And if you've ever had a woman who once couldn't get enough of you suddenly turn cold, ask yourself, when did she figure you out? When did she stop wondering what you were thinking? When did she stop needing to earn your attention? Because that's where it started. And to reverse it, you must reclaim that unpredictability. And that starts with controlling you, your words, your habits, your routines, your emotional triggers. And when you do, when you become the man who cannot be read, who speaks only when needed, who holds his emotional space like a fortress, you stop being just an option and start being the obsession. Not because you chased her, but because you became emotionally rare. And in a world full of men who talk too much, feel too fast, and need too often, emotional rarity is the highest form of value. And when she realizes you're not reacting to her games, when she feels confused instead of validated, curious instead of certain, she leans in, she reaches out, she chases, and you stay still, because emotional confusion is not manipulation. It's the art of letting her earn her place in your space. And if you're serious about mastering this kind of emotional power, not just to attract her, but to lead every relationship in your life with unshakable clarity, then the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men is your next step. This isn't just a book. It's the blueprint for the man who refuses to be manipulated, who leads with calm, commands respect, and never gets played again. And once it's yours for life. No games, just permanent access to the most transformational relationship truths you'll ever read. The link is in the comments. Own the knowledge. Own the outcome. Number 3. Set boundaries without words. You keep trying to tell her what your boundaries are. You keep repeating yourself, thinking if you just explain it better, if you just word it right, if you're clear enough, respectful enough, calm enough, maybe, just maybe, she'll finally understand how not to cross the line. But the truth is, every time you explain your standards, you're showing her that your boundaries are negotiable. Because real boundaries don't need to be announced. They're felt. And if you have to keep saying, don't do that, and she keeps doing it, then what you're really showing her is that your words mean nothing. Your line is imaginary, and your standards are for show, not for action. And deep down, you know this. Because you've felt the pain of watching a woman test you over and over again. Not because she doesn't hear you, but because she doesn't believe you'll actually walk away. And every time she pushes and you stay, she learns that your so-called standards are just emotional bargaining chips you're too afraid to cash in. And this is how men get trained to tolerate disrespect, by rewarding it with explanations, by staying when they should leave, by confusing patience with weakness. But the men who are truly respected, the ones who get treated like kings, They're not the ones who talk the most about their values. They're the ones who enforce them without a word, without a fight, without a second warning. Because when a man lives by principles that he upholds in silence, he doesn't need to defend them. He becomes them. And women can feel that. They can feel when a man is bluffing and when he's dead serious, when he's posturing and when he's simply not entertaining certain behavior. And the reason most men never reach that level is because they're afraid of the silence that comes after enforcing those boundaries. They're afraid to be alone, afraid to lose her, afraid she'll walk if they don't fold, and she might. But that's the price of self-respect. And if you're not willing to pay it, you'll always be buying love with your dignity. And what you'll get in return is conditional affection based on your submission, not your power. And the real tragedy is that men are starving for respect in relationships they built by sacrificing their self-worth. And they sit there wondering why they feel empty, why they feel small, why they feel like they've lost themselves. And it's because they have. And it didn't happen all at once. It happened the first time you let her raise her voice and you didn't leave. The first time she flirted with another guy and you forgave her too fast. The first time she withheld affection to punish you and you tried harder to please her. And over time, every one of those moments chipped away at your frame until you forgot who you were. And now you walk on eggshells hoping not to upset her instead of walking in truth and letting the world adapt or fall away. And here's what most men need to understand. Boundaries are not about controlling her. They're about controlling yourself. And the reason you keep getting disrespected is because you haven't made peace with your own silence. You haven't accepted that some people will leave when you stop bending, and you're still trying to be liked more than you want to be respected. But you can't have both, because the moment you draw a real line in the sand, the people who only liked you when you were convenient will disappear, and that's exactly who needs to. And you'll never know who truly values you until you become the man who enforces his values, regardless of who it offends. And the irony is, the moment you do, the right people will respect you more, including women, because despite what they say, despite the "I want a nice guy" narrative, no woman truly respects a man who gets walked on. No woman stays attracted to a man she can emotionally manipulate, and even if she doesn't leave, she will lose the kind of deep, primal respect that keeps her loyal. And once that's gone, you've already lost her even if she's still in your bed. And that's why this point isn't just about setting boundaries. It's about becoming the man who doesn't need to announce them, because his presence already defines them. And that starts with radical self-respect, with building a life where your peace, your purpose, and your path are so intact that no one, no matter how beautiful, how seductive, how emotional, can shake you off it. And you don't have to yell or explain or punish. You simply adjust access. And that one adjustment teaches her more than 1,000 lectures ever could. So how do you do it? Start with one behavior you've been tolerating that violates your standards. Identify it. And the next time it shows up, say nothing. Don't react emotionally. Just step back. Withdraw your attention. Go cold. Without bitterness. And let her feel the shift. And if she asks why, say, "That doesn't work for me." And leave it there. Don't defend it. Don't argue. Just let your energy speak. And if she respects you, she'll adjust. And if she doesn't, she'll resist. And that's the test. Because in that moment, you either fold and stay trapped in the same cycle, or you rise and walk into your power. And once you start doing this consistently, once you stop trying to fix every emotional outburst, once you stop rewarding chaos with compassion, you'll start attracting peace, not because you demanded it, but because you created space where only peace is welcome. And the women who belong in that space will rise to meet you there, not because you forced them, but because you led them with presence. And that's the difference between a man who gets manipulated and a man who gets respected. Not what he says, but what he enforces. Not what he feels, but what he does when his values are tested. So from today on, stop setting boundaries with your mouth and start setting them with your feet, your silence, your absence. Because the men who walk away without warning, without drama, without looking back, are the ones whose presence women remember forever. Number 4. Frame yourself as the prize. She doesn't love you for how much you chase her. She doesn't stay because you text her first every morning. She doesn't commit because you constantly reassure her or revolve your life around her feelings. What she truly respects, what she secretly craves, is a man who walks like he is the prize, who lives like he is the reward, who carries himself like the center of his own universe, not because he's arrogant, but because he has something real going on with or without her. And most men never get this because they're too focused on being chosen, too busy trying to fit into her life, too desperate to be validated by someone who hasn't even earned access to their full energy, and they give it all away too fast. They make her the mission, the goal, the dream, forgetting that she was supposed to be the addition, not the destination. And now he's confused why she's cold, why she disrespects him, why she acts like she's bored, and it's because she's not inspired, not impressed, not emotionally invested in a man who puts her on a pedestal she never asked for, because women are drawn to value, to ambition, to leadership. And when you make her your reason instead of your reward, you become disposable, you become ordinary, and the only way to flip this dynamic is to stop seeking to be liked and start demanding to be respected, to stop trying to earn her attention and start commanding your space, to stop pouring into someone else's emotional cup when your own life is still empty. And that starts with you reframing how you see yourself, not as someone hoping to be loved, but as someone who is already complete, already focused, already chosen by himself first. And when you live that way, everything changes. Not because you said, "I'm the prize," but because you walked like it. Because you made decisions that aligned with someone who values his time, his energy, his purpose. And suddenly, she's not the one being chased. She's chasing. She's wondering why you're not reacting, why you're not chasing, why you're not prioritizing her every time she calls. And that confusion, that lack of control, is what pulls her in. Because now she's not just with a man, she's with a mystery, with a mission, with a presence she can't control. And that presence is addictive, it's powerful, and it doesn't come from pretending. It comes from building a life so full, so focused, so intentional, that anyone who wants to be part of it must bring peace, not problems, value, not drama, consistency, not confusion. And the way you start is simple. Every time you feel the urge to prove yourself to her, redirect that energy into your work, your discipline, your evolution, and watch how the dynamic shifts. Because the man who stops putting her on the pedestal becomes the man she places on hers. Not because you tried to convince her, but because you showed up with so much self-worth that she had no choice but to see it. And that's what framing yourself as the prize is really about. It's not just confidence, it's clarity, it's detachment. It's living in a way that says, you are welcome in my life, but only if you add to it. And when you do that, when you embody that, you stop fearing rejection, you stop chasing validation, and you start attracting everything you thought you had to beg for, because you finally see yourself not as someone hoping to be loved, but as someone who is already worth loving, but only on your terms. Number 5. Stay calm when she panics. She's yelling, throwing emotional daggers, accusing you of things you didn't do, rewriting stories in her head, creating chaos in a moment that could have been peace. And your instinct is to fix it, to explain, to defend yourself, to bring logic into the storm, because you think if she just sees reason, she'll calm down. But you're wasting your breath, because she's not looking for logic. She's looking for emotional dominance, looking to see if you'll lose yourself in her chaos, looking to see if she can pull you off balance and drag you into a place where she controls the emotional tempo. And every time you raise your voice to match hers, Every time you fold under her pressure, every time you chase her approval when she pulls back, you teach her that your energy is available for negotiation. And when your emotional stability becomes reactive to hers, she no longer sees you as a leader. She sees you as a mirror, and mirrors don't lead, they follow. And this is where most men fail, because no one ever told them that her emotional chaos is not the problem. It's the test. And if you don't pass the test, you lose not only her respect, but also your self-control. And the truth is, you're not being tested in those moments to prove how much you care. You're being tested to see if your emotions are tied to her behavior. And when you fail that test, you enter a cycle of emotional slavery, where your peace depends on her moods, your confidence depends on her reactions, and your entire sense of leadership is dictated by how well you manage her emotional outbursts. But real strength, real power, real leadership is built on Stoic principles, on not reacting to every emotional flare-up, on staying centered while the world around you spins, on understanding that her panic is not your cue to perform, but your moment to observe. And this doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't lose your center to prove you do. Because a man who needs to yell to be heard has already lost control. A man who needs to explain his worth has already lost value. And a man who lets a woman's panic dictate his presence is not leading, he's surviving. And the man who survives never commands respect. He pleads for it, and pleading never earns you loyalty. It earns you compliance at best and resentment at worst. So the next time she panics, the next time she throws words at you hoping for a reaction, the next time she withdraws to trigger you into chasing, you stop, you breathe, you hold your position like a fortress. Not because you're trying to win, but because you already have peace and you're not negotiating it. And this isn't about ignoring her. This is about not being emotionally owned by her instability. Because the moment you flinch, the moment you chase, the moment you match her chaos with your own, you become another man she can control with her mood swings. And she will never feel safe with a man she can shake. She will never fully surrender to a man who bends at every emotional twist. Because feminine energy only respects the man it cannot knock off his axis. And that man is not built in one argument. He is built daily through discipline, through silence, through intentional responses rather than emotional reactions. And if you've ever been in a relationship where she said she loved how calm you were in the beginning, but later accused you of being cold, it's because your stillness stopped reflecting her chaos. And when a woman can't use your emotions to validate her drama, she feels exposed, and the exposed feminine either grows or flees. And your job is not to make her stay. Your job is to stay centered whether she grows or goes, because your energy is not her playground. It's your kingdom, and only those who respect it are allowed to enter. And that level of inner command only comes when you stop fearing her panic and start reading it as data. Start recognizing the patterns, the push and pull, the bait and blame cycles, and choose stillness over reaction, grounded detachment over emotional entanglement. Because when she panics and you stay calm, not passive, not dismissive, but grounded in presence, she feels something she rarely feels: safety. And not the safety of a man who'll fix everything, but the safety of a man who won't fall apart while she figures herself out. And that's the difference between conditional leadership and authentic masculine presence. One needs her to be okay to feel strong. The other remains strong, so she has space to become okay. And if you're tired of being dragged into emotional wars you never signed up for, tired of being blamed, guilt-tripped, punished, or provoked into reactions that cost you your self-respect, then it's time you understand the power of non-reaction. Not silence to avoid conflict, but silence that anchors the room, that speaks louder than her accusations, that refuses to play in the dirt while she tests your resolve. And yes, she will test it, not to destroy you, but to measure you, to see if you are who you say you are, to see if your calm is a costume or a character trait. And if you fail, she loses respect. But if you pass, something deeper happens. She surrenders, not out of weakness, but because she finally feels the stability she's been seeking in the chaos she's been creating. And that surrender is not submission. It's trust. It's a recognition that she no longer has to fight for emotional ground, because she's with a man who isn't at war with himself. And that trust is the foundation of a relationship that lasts, because it's not built on control or emotional games, but on respect for energy that doesn't bend to fear, to panic, to pressure. So train this daily. Every time you're triggered, pause, breathe, speak less, stand tall, and act only when your decision serves your peace, not your pride. And if she walks away because you didn't match her emotional temperature, let her, because the woman who needs you to break down to feel connected is not a partner. She's a storm looking for something to destroy, and your calm is not a weakness. It's the shield that keeps your kingdom standing. So protect it, live by it, and let the world adjust. If you're tired of chasing, tired of being misunderstood, disrespected, emotionally drained, and always the one trying to fix what she keeps breaking, then it's time to stop reacting and start leading. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men isn't just another ebook. It's the manual for men who are done losing themselves, done getting manipulated, and finally ready to take back control. And it's linked in the comments. Comment, "No more chasing," if you're ready to lead with strength. Like the video. Subscribe. Help spread these truths so more men don't waste another year being someone they're not, for a woman who never truly valued them.